Hello and welcome back to my channel. I have a surprise for you today, an analysis video that I've actually put some effort into editing. Who knew? It's the coolest moments that I saw from Challengers 2 across Europe, North America, Brazil, and I've kind of crunched them all together to give you guys the best look at all of the stuff that I found to be tactically the coolest. And also, there's a couple of other little surprises. One, I have a beard. It's really bad, isn't it? And two, come a little closer. Come a little closer. There's a message from our sponsors that have allowed me to eat during the off-season. This big brain analysis video has been fueled by XP Sports. The range of XP Sports products have been built to enhance your gaming performance. Take, for example, the Zero Lag capsules. Now, these contain more than just caffeine. They contain a scientifically studied ingredient that supports mental energy, reaction times, and improves your gaming performance. And if you're more of a drinks person, well, you can get all of that in a 0-calorie, 0-sugar can, or a powder to make up yourself, and it's the best tasting formula that personally I've ever had. They even have gummies with ingredients to support normal eye health and help with focus. So head to xpsports.com and use code Sideshow for 30% off. And now, back to the video. Thanks, Sideshow, you little shill. Let's welcome you to part 1, in which Nature from Immortals outplays MKAEL with some shock darts versus Killjoy ult action. At the beginning of this round, in round 6 of Immortals vs Gen.G on Ascent, we see Chemicals peek the turret as it's getting set up to find a pick on Kusta, which I think is a wonderful way of abusing this. But what I really want to draw your attention to is the fact that Immortals have this Killjoy ult, the lockdown for the retake, and there's no Sova ult on the other side. Normally this would mean that you get a free lockdown to be able to defend the A site. You would normally think that Immortals would be playing this for retake, but they're actually not. Gangster is anchoring the site. Unknown why this is the case, and as Gen.G work through Catwalk, Stanny gets caught in this position. Unfortunately, Shut Up's breach utility isn't good enough to be able to save him here, not quite fast enough, and Gangster also gets overwhelmed on the site. And this ends up being a 3v4 retake for Immortals, and they still win. MKAEL may not have his Sova ult, but he does know this lockdown's coming in, so he repositions in A main where he has a double shock dart lineup for the normal lockdown position. But Nature doesn't use the normal lockdown position in this corner. He tucks it behind the box over there. And so these shock darts that come through from MKAEL completely miss. It looks the same on the minimap, but you can see that as these shock darts rain down, all of Gen.G are convinced that MKAEL's going to save them, and they only realize when the Defender lockdown detains 4 players. GMD reacts too late with his Omen ult, ends up getting detained in Gelato. 4 players detained, and Immortals are able to come on in, jet smoke on the spike, and Nature just sticks it. Puts a molly in A main, and he's got it the entire way through. That you might never see a round like that ever again, but the mind games that are happening with these Sovas and the lockdowns and how they're outplaying each other is truly mental. This is one of my favorite plays of the entire thing. Here's part 2, where XSET modified the classic Vision Striker's Shark attack by adding a RAZE ult in. They're going to flash and dash down mid, or not, you know, they've got the paranoia to be able to work with here rather than the breach, but this time XSET combo it with the RAZE ult. And this round it's over in a flash. But don't worry, if you want a more detailed breakdown of how this strat actually works, you can take a look at my Vision Strikers video. But this is a very popular strat that has been used a lot in North America, and it's been countered when you run it with a jet. But with the RAZE ult, very hard. Here's NIP doing the same thing, a different variation, where they don't have any duelists. So they can't blast pack down mid, they can't dash down mid here. Instead, they have an op hold this long angle with Kriya, and they just run the little... they just run! They just gallop their little legs down mid, and Rhyme pushes it out. G2 respond with this, and they push into B main, well, kind of reactively, but it was also part of their plan. JD falls off and uses the Sage Wall to allow for retake positions to come back in without having to worry about B main. And look at how much space this has been able to give the entirety of NIP. Even though they have no duelists, the fact that they've taken mid control and they know that they've boxed G2 into a corner means that JD can come and get this Resurrect off for free. Chihuahua's taking control of B main because they know they've all funneled into sight, and without any duelists, NIPs still pull off the classic Shark attack. Truly, truly ludicrous. And remember, guys, that this came down to Kree holding the angle in top mid with that op. So surely they wouldn't do it again, would they? Oh yeah. Round 12. Economy's not very good for NIP. And this time they're going to do the same. Kree's going to hold it with a Marshall. I'll highlight it as soon as he buys it. But Kree's going to be trying to hold this top mid angle with the Marshall. So they're also going to combo it with a Shock Dart, which you can see Rhyme is getting ready to shoot here. So Shock Dart goes up to top mid, Flash into mid, a very delayed version of the Shark Attack. It's truly insane, but NIP'd like to do it. G2 again set up for another A hit, and NIP have taken all of the control of the extremities. They end up losing this, but you can see that it gives them a main control, it gives them access to Catwalk, it lets them retake from Door, and it lets them retake from Heaven. Because the responsive, reactive play from G2 is just to run into the site and give up all map control for an easy plant. So NIP can still play off this, even though they're on a half-buy round. It ends up being really close here towards the end. But look at all of the different angles they have access to. They are essentially flanking G2 from 3 different sides here, without any possibility of there being an effective lurker. And this ends up coming down to a 2v2, where Padatek goes above and beyond, honestly, and Akukos can't quite finish it out. Okay, part 3. You ready for part 4? This one's really cool. It was FNATIC using their lockdown in mid, and I'm going to give you guys 2 opportunities to watch this, because right at the beginning we see a Paranoia and an Aftershock used to control grass and push these guys away. It actually does almost full damage to Angel as well. There's a bit of a delay to see whether FNATIC are going to use, to see whether FPX are going to use any counter utility. The Killjoy turret holds the angle into mid, and then Chak pushes down mid and uses the lockdown deep in mid here. They have flashes from Boaster, and they have complementary angles from Mystic at Door and Boaster in mid to try and bait the lockdown, bait Chak, and find picks. And this ends up being a 3v2 that they actually convert. I'm going to run this again in slow motion so you can see all the pieces. There's the Paranoia that goes down mid and the Aftershock to push people out of grass. They have the turret to be able to give information if anyone wide swings in mid window and allow these guys, Chak and Boaster, to react earlier in mid. They pause for a moment to see whether any counter utility is coming out aggressively, but no, it's not. So they push down mid with a bit of a delayed pop. Boaster's ready to fire some flashes to counter these flashes coming out from Chak, and they essentially use the lockdown as bait, and it also just attracts all the attention to mid. And in the meantime, these guys can push up on the extremities and make sure that in the mid round, when the kind of chaos devolves, they can catch timings. Mo and Doma can catch great opportunities to find picks on people who are pushing the extremity, and it leaves FPX with very little control over the map. They're forced to instantly run towards one of the extremities and tackle Mo or Doma, or they have to fight for this map control in mid, and FPX, they normally like to fight for map control. Part 5, Alliance comboing blinds with boombots. So the player we're going to keep a look on here is Kadavra, the RAZE, who's up at the top here. And he's going to combo his boombot with a Paranoia that comes out and breach flashes on this pistol round on defense. So they've already paranoid all of these people coming up through C-Long. Then there's another breach flash. And look at that boombot. It goes out and it catches a kill on Takas. That is lovely. The coordination there, beautiful. But surely, Josh, surely that's just a random thing that happens. No, here's the next round as well, where the entirety of Defuse take C, and they're playing for the retake here, Alliance. And they're going to combo another Paranoia that comes through to the players at default, and after the Paranoia comes through, the Boombot gets sent out as well. Pay attention to the Omen and the RAZE here that are playing in Garage, and look at this Paranoia that catches both of these players. Both of those players at default, combos with the Boombot. They can't see it because they're blinded or nearsighted, and it gets the kill. Especially effective against eco rounds. A gorgeous idea coming out from Alliance that I really haven't seen anyone else use. Our final play is from Heretic's NUKKYE, who uses his satchel to deny a defuse. Him and Lowell are stuck in A main here because they were too late to connect with the rest of their players. They've kind of left them high and dry on the site. They're both going to die to this retake that comes through, and Pora's been caught on the lurk. So they've got everything to do. They've got to go back into A main and kill Tvik, which they managed to go and do. But then Element is sticking, and we're going to pay attention to NUKKYE here, who uses his blast pack to knock Element off the spike in a gorgeous play that allows Heretics to take the round. Wonderful. it bonked him off it. That is fantastic. I love all of those moments. If I was going too fast for you, I was trying to condense this video down to as quickly as we could go through those clips. But if you missed any of the detail, please go back and pause the video and take a look at the arrows that I'm drawing and the players, because all of those tactics are absolutely gorgeous. And I'll catch you in the next analysis video where I will be doing Skye on Split.